Raid Shadow Legends can be a very brutal place, especially when it comes to clan boss, but in order to survive it, there are two very important aspects. One is team composition, and second is your gear. Your gear can take an ordinary man and transform him into something great. This game isn't for the weak. It is an exhausting, endless journey to perfection. But if you want to know how you achieve that, then watch this video. Hello everybody, Loki Magics, another day, another video. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about clan boss and more to be specific, clan boss team composition. Because when I first started playing the game, I had no idea how to build a clan boss team, right? But luckily for me, after I think I've been playing for like 6-7 months now, and I was able to pretty much make this as my clan boss team. Now these are great champions, but this video is really not about them. It's more about the synergy and why I chose these champions. And at the same time, I want to talk about their gear, because as of right now, they are great champions and they're doing a lot of damage in Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss, but their gear could definitely use some work. So I kind of want to explain all that and take this opportunity to kind of showcase the good points and the flaws of this team composition, and also show you guys champions that could do similar things that they do with lesser tier, as in, like, you know, instead of legendaries, maybe some epics and rares that could fill in their slot, right? So this video should be pretty informative, and it should offer a lot of insight on my clan boss team and in general how to make a very strong clan boss team. So let's get right into that. Alright, so let's start off by just showing how much damage they could do with this team composition, so you have like an idea of what they're capable of. And you can see right here they did about 31 million damage, which is pretty good for Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. And we're just going to break down this team composition and see how we got there at the same time, kind of show, you know, like where they're lacking, their strong points and things like that, and what other champions could pretty much fill their role, right? So let's do all that right now. So when you're building a team composition for clan boss, there's pretty much two things you got to keep in mind. You need to have a team that can survive and also a team that could dish out damage. So it's pretty much broken down to two sections, DPS and survivability. So when it comes to my team composition, I have Altan and Valkyrie and bad El-Kazar for my survivability portion of my team count, right? So let's start off with Altan. What does he do, and what are some of the champions that could take his place if you don't have Altan? Altan is here because of two reasons, but right now we're just going to talk about his A1. So he does decrease attack, right? Now decrease attack on your A1 is a very powerful thing, because if you synergize them with counter champions, now you have a better chance of landing this more often because you're attacking more, right? So Altan pretty much takes a cake when it comes to decrease attack, and there are other champions that could do that. These champions right here will be my recommendation, Chris being number one and Rearguard Sergeant being my last choice out of this list right here. So the reason why Chris is number one when it comes to decreased attack is because it's on his, pretty much it's on his passive, right? So all he has to do is get hit, and this has a high chance of proccing. So, you know, you don't even have to worry about him having it on his A1, A2, A3. All he has to do is get hit by clan boss and he'll have decreased attack. So I will say Chris the Ageless is number one when it comes to that, decreased attack and even decreased defense. And I will say Altan is second. Alright, so let's talk about Rearguard Sergeant and why she was last on the list for decreased attack. Now the reason why is because her A1 has decreased defense. Now that's perfect if you need decreased defense, right? But if you're trying to use a counter team composition, this wouldn't really help you too much when it comes to decreased attack, because it's on her A2. So it's on her A2, you can book this down to 3-turn cooldown, and because of it's on her A2, you won't have a chance to proc it as often as all the other champions, because it's all on their A1. Now this is also a good time to mention Vizier and debuff extenders, because debuff extenders allow you to do something a little bit different. Now right now she's like the last choice when it comes to decreased attack, right? But let's say you have Vizier, then it wouldn't really matter, because all you have to do is apply this one time and apply this one time, and at that point it doesn't really matter, because Vizier could take this once, that this decreased attack that's applied one time, and he could boost that up to like 50 turns, right? So if you have debuff extenders, then it's more critical to have certain debuffs on your A1. So I felt like this was a good time to bring that up, just because on the list I would say she's last if you're using counter, you know, team compositions. But if you have a debuff extender, then it really changes the game, right? Then all this stuff doesn't really matter anymore. So it's just something to keep in mind when you're building your team composition. All right, so what else does Altan do? Now, outside of his A1 with decreased attack, he also does increased defense, right? So this increased defense on his A2 is a very powerful thing for survivability because it synergizes really well with Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie's A2 has a shield that is, the value of this shield is proportional to the champion's defense, right? So if I use Altan first and let him do his increased defense, and then Valkyrie comes through and does her A2, her stand firm, it will significantly boost the value of this shield. So they pair really well when it comes to team survivability, right? And there are other champions that have increased defense, so let's take a look at that real quick. So once again, back at Chris the Ageless, not only does he does this incredible passive with decreased attack and decreased defense, he also has an A3 with increased defense, right? So for me, if I had a choice between Altan and Chris, I would definitely replace Altan with Chris the Ageless. Unfortunately, I don't have the champion, but if you do have the champion, he's pretty much the primary choice when it comes to what we just talked about in this video. And let's check out the other champions. So Jar Egg is pretty much close to Altan. They pretty much have the same kit, decreased attack and increased defense, right? But they do have some subtle differences, like their passes are different. He's HP, Altan is defense, and he has this passive right here that kind of, you know, has continuous heal, right? Altan's passive is if someone dies and he kills someone, he gets brought back to life. So they do have subtle differences, but if you don't have Altan or Chris the Ageless, then you could definitely use a champion like J-Rig because they have, you know, the toolkits that we need: decrease attack and increase defense. And once again, another solid choice would be Crimson Helm because she does have like decreased attack on her A1 like we mentioned, and she has block damage. Block damage is another useful tool for preventing your champions from being stunned from the clan boss, and she also has increased defense and revive on death, right? So it all depends on what you need for your team composition. Maybe block revive is more important to you than other aspects, right? So, you know, maybe you don't need this at all, so you're like, you know what, I like J-Rig better, this is who I have, and I like his stats better, right? So it all depends on what you need. So just, you know, there are options, and team composition does come in play, but for my team composition, Altan is the best, so that's why I went with him. So let's move on to a different champion in my team composition. All right, so moving on to Valkyrie. So Valkyrie is a super good champion when it comes to clan boss, and she is in Steward gear right now because I feel like with my team composition, I do not need any lifesteal. Now, you know, early in the video, I did say they do have some room for improvement, so we're going to talk about that real quick since we made it to Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie's gloves right here, this isn't a 6-star, feels a 6-star, this would be better, but you can see right here, she has crit damage and some flat stats, right? So this glove right here isn't really ideal for her, and at the same time, this set right here, yes, it's a 6-star, but 3 rolls in flat HP, right? So she could get a lot better when it comes to gear. But luckily for me, even with these speed boots being 6-star defense percentage, I was able to pretty much get her stats right here at 190. This is exactly where I need Valkyrie for my team composition. You can see her defense is really high, and I'm not worried about her attack. I'm not worried about her crit damage or crit rate or her resistance or her accuracy, because I feel like all Valkyrie really needs to do for my team composition is do her A2 and provide this big boost in shield and counter attack, right? And the number one reason why I don't need lifesteal for my team composition is because of bad El-Kazar. Now, bad El-Kazar provides heals with his A1 and with his A2, and this also removes debuffs, right? So earlier in the video we talked about how Crimson Helm could provide block debuffs, but if you don't have block debuffs, you can use a champion that pretty much removes debuffs, right? So that's why these 3 right here work very well when it comes to survivability of my clan boss team composition. So yeah, so Valkyrie is a very key role. So I want to show you real quick how much shield gets boosted by using Altan's increased defense, right? So let's check that out real quick so you can see the difference with an A2 shield with no increased defense and A2 shield with increased defense. Okay, so first up is Valkyrie with no increased defense. Still pretty good chunk of shield. Right, now we're going to take a look at Valkyrie with increased defense, and you can see right here it's almost double, which is pretty crazy. That's a lot of shield, so it is very key for survivability. That's Valkyrie pretty much in a nutshell when it comes to my team composition. This A2 is really the only reason why she's there. You could also use her for her, oh no, never mind. Her aura is for faction crypts, never mind, not for clan boss. So yes, just her A2, that is why she is here. Now I want to point out something else. Now you saw her speed is pretty much at 190, right? Now this is where I could improve my team composition. Altan's speed is at pretty much, I think 179, right? So this is bad because what happens is Valkyrie's going to use her A2 first, and then Altan's going to follow up with his increased defense, right? So the most ideal situation will be is having Altan at 191. So that way, if he's at 191, Altan will always go first using this increased defense, and then Valkyrie could follow up with shield, right? So that would be the ideal way, but unfortunately, like, you know, a lot of players know having the right equipment and gear is not easy to come by. So, you know, I'm working on that, but every single team, it's always improvements that you could do to your team composition, right? Like, I don't think no one out there has the perfect team yet. Maybe we could say like Unkillable and Mortal Comps are the perfect team setup, but for now in this video, you know, just pointing that out, that those are the differences. Now champions that could really take Valkyrie's place is far in between. There's really no one there. I mean, you got Martyr could do a good job, and then you got, was it Steel Skull, right? But there are big differences between these champions. Where is Martyr? Martyr doesn't give you any shield boost, right? She does have decreased defense, she does have counter increased defense, right? And decreased attack, so she does a lot, and she has this right here, right? So she does a lot, but I think when it comes to clan boss, Valkyrie is just better because of that shield. That shield is very powerful. And where is the other guy? Yep, and this guy right here, he does have counter and ally protection and unkillable, but he does not compare to when it comes to pretty much Valkyrie or Martyr. So yeah, that is it for these guys. So moving on to Bad El-Kazar. So we already kind of talked about why he's here. He's pretty much my lifesteal guy when it comes to my team composition. And he gives me health by his A1, which gives 20% of the damage inflicted, gets healed back to my champions. And this A2 right here places 15% continuous heal, and also removes any debuffs from all my allies, right? So these two skills right here allows me to equip everyone else with things like steelwork gear, stuff like that, instead of having to worry about lifesteal, right? And also going back to where I could improve my team composition. So we go back to Valkyrie, her speed's at 190, Altan's at 191, but honestly for my team comp, Bad El-Kazar needs to be the fastest team member. He is at 141. He needs to be above Valkyrie and Altan, and the reason why is because this skill right here, right? So let's say the clan boss stuns Valkyrie or Altan. Now I'm screwed. I don't have my increased defense or my counter. So if he is being slower than those two champions, he's not going to be able to cleanse them with this remove debuff, right? So he needs to be the fastest one. So if anything happens to any of my champions, he could come up right there and cleanse them and help them out, right? So this is a very important thing for Bad El-Kazar, and this is one area in my team composition that I could greatly improve, because it has happened to me multiple times, even on that run where I made 31 million, that, you know, one of my champions were stunned and there was nothing we could do, and we could have survived longer if that hadn't happened. So let's check that out real quick. You can see right here, Valkyrie gets stunned. Right now she's stunned, and because of my speed is being all out of whack, Valkyrie goes first and I wasn't able to cleanse her, right? So I have no counterattack, no shield, and that's pretty much how you get destroyed in clan boss. So speed tuning is very important, and having your team composition just perfect, in sync with their abilities, will help you out so much. This right here is an example of how it should have been done. Because my team composition speed's all whack, sometimes it lines up perfectly like this. Valkyrie gets healed and she'll be able to do her counterattack. So since we're here, we might as well show off Bad El's passive being procced by my champions. You can see every time they attack, his passive is procced, and it just pretty much gives my champions a little bit more damage. So I like that passive from Bad El, and you can see the continuous heal going off. So this is the reason why, like I said earlier, I don't use lifesteal. I rather use steelwork gear for minus 30% AoE damage, right? So I feel like we have a lot of survivability here. And so now let's talk about who could actually take Bad El's spot in my team composition. So once again, coming in at the top of the best replacement for my team composition when it comes to bad El-Kazar will be Chris the Ageless, because once again, his A2 has ally protection and continuous heal, right? So like pretty much this champion is pretty good for clan boss. He does so much things, right? He already fulfills the role, as you see, for like so many people in my team composition, right? So if you pull him, you kind of have like the total package in one champion. So this will be my ideal choice, and there is another one that I'm interested in. So I think Duchess would be a great replacement for bad El-Kazar because her passive is pretty impressive, right? Pretty much just decreases all AoE attacks by 25%, 15% from bosses, and if you're under veil, you get a little bit more bonus, right? So pretty cool passive, and she also has block debuffs, which is very important for a clan boss, and she has continuous heal, right? So I think if you pulled her, she'll be a great champion to replace bad El-Kazar. I don't know which one will be better, but actually I think she'll be better than bad El-Kazar, honestly. So yeah, if you have her, then yes, she is a great champion to put into the type of team composition that I have, right? So let's see who else. So this champion here might be better than bad El-Kazar or Duchess, depending on, I guess, how you look at it. But why I say that is because her A1 is continuous heal, period, right? So let's say you have her with a counterattack champion, you could stack up a whole bunch of continuous heal. Let's say you have like 3 or 4 of these, that's like what, 60% of healing your HP every single turn, right? So this A1 could be very powerful when it comes to clan boss or just pretty much survivability, especially, you know, in sync with certain type of team compositions. So this is a very strong champion with a strong A1 when it comes to survivability. And also right here, her A2, you know, not only does it attack with 3 random allies, which is very helpful trying to apply more buffs, right? Because, you know, if you have debuffs on your A1, this could be a very powerful skill. And also this fills the turn meter by all allies by 30%. So everybody's getting filled by 30%. So you could be in sync. I'm not sure how it'll work out with clan boss, but you know, the team will be in sync, but you might be out of sync with the clan boss's attack, if that makes sense. And this also increased the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. So, you know, this could go up for another turn while you have like 4 of these and you use this and they all go up by another turn. So that's a lot of survivability there. And she has increased attack and, you know, increased crit rate. So she provides a lot of survivability and a lot of utility. So I think she'll be a good replacement for bad El-Kazar if you don't have him, or she might be better than bad El-Kazar. I don't have the champion, so I don't know, but you know, you kind of see my point here. All right, so kind of going toward the epic side of the house a little bit. So you got Doom Priest right now. Doom Priest is an excellent champion when it comes to survivability because where is it? Yes, her passive. So her passive heals all allies by 7.5% of their HP and removes 1 random debuff from them at the start of the champion's turn. So this passive by itself is going to heal your champions and remove debuffs, right? So if you time it right, get her speed tuned correctly, this champion could like pretty much take care of everything you need and you don't have to do anything, right? So this is a great champion if you don't have bad El-Kazar or Duchess or any other legendaries that we mentioned earlier. But with this champion, 7.5% of their HP might not be enough to keep you guys alive. So you might want to think about using lifesteal with her. You might be able to get away without any lifesteal, but yeah, this is an excellent champion that could take bad El-Kazar's spot in my team composition. So another great epic is Steel Skull. Now this champion kind of does a lot of things, right? She has her A1 with poison, she has removes all debuffs from target ally and heals them by 40%. So this could be helpful, you know, when you're trying to remove that stun or something off of Valkyrie or Altan. So this A2 is very powerful. And then she has her A3 that places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns and also heals them by 20% of their max HP, and you can buff it up a little bit more. So she kind of does a lot for a he. I'm not sure if it's a she or a girl, but this person does a lot for you for your clan boss, right? So they could definitely fill in the role for bad El-Kazar because it does pretty much what he does. Only thing is, once again, this is also another champion where you might need to use lifesteal instead of still work gear, right? So yeah, just pointing that out. And let's move on to the next one. So let's say you don't have, bad El-Kazar or Duchess, right? Then you could throw in Muscle and Mage, because he does help you out a lot when it comes to heal and sustainability when it comes to our kind of team composition that we're talking about in this video. And he does it by this A2 where he increases crit rate, which is always helpful, increase defense, and block debuffs. So you saw that block debuffs could be very clutch when it comes to clan boss. And also right here, this removes all debuffs from allies, then heals them by 10% of the champion's max HP. Plus, if you remove any debuffs, so let's say you time it right with the clan boss, remove the debuff, you get extra heals, right? So he can be very helpful. Now when you have this champion, you might want to use lifesteal, but you might be able to get away with it depending on how much more survivability you have through other means, right? You might have a champion with shields, you might have a champion with increased defense, things like that, or you could kind of mix and match things. But this will be a pretty good replacement for bad El-Kazar if you don't have him. Bad El-Kazar would definitely be better than champion, but we're just saying if you don't have bad El-Kazar. Alright, so that is pretty much bad El-Kazar in a nutshell, and that pretty much covers all of the survivability portion of my team composition: Altan, Valkyrie, and bad El-Kazar. So now let's talk about the DPS people. We have Vizier and Venus. And we'll start off with Vizier because he's pretty much the easiest one to cover. Now this guy right here, we're just going to go to his stats real quick. So you can see he does have a lot of accuracy because I need him to proc his A1 as much as possible, right? Resistance, don't really care about. I don't care about his crit rate or crit damage. His speed, I honestly don't care about his speed too much, because as long as I have Valkyrie with his counter, he's going to use his A1. So I don't really care about speed too much, but I do care about his HP and his defense, right? And also the funny thing about Vizier is that as long as he gets those debuffs up with his A1, right, because it has a 35% chance to increase all duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. As long as he gets that up, and let's say you're like 5-6 minutes into the clan boss fight, and then now we're talking you have like 30-40 poison debuffs or whatever up, right? If this dude dies, his job is done. He already did what he has to do, so it doesn't even matter at this point anymore. So pretty much when you want to build him out, just think about his accuracy, try to give him up HP and defense so he survives just long enough, and boom, this guy is a very simple, easy to play champion. All you gotta do, give him some accuracy, hook him up with a counter team composition, and he's gonna do a lot of work for you, right? So that's pretty much Vizier in a nutshell. And there's not really too many champions that could take his spot. Like we kind of said earlier, we have Warlord and Septimus like that, and you have Bulwark, but there's not too many champions that could do it like Vizier. Vizier is pretty much #1 when it comes to debuff extension. So now let's talk about Venus. Alright, so let's talk about Venus. Now, Venus is the main DPS in this team composition, and she does it because of her A1 has poison, she has decreased defense and weaken, and she has HP burn, right? Now you saw in the video, because of Vizier, he is able to boost up all those debuffs really high, and because of this decreased defense and weaken, everyone else that's hitting the clan boss is doing more damage, plus with this passive right here, so all that stuff adds up, and accumulatively you do a lot of damage in this team composition, right? But mainly most of the damage is coming from this because of Vizier is able to buff up those debuffs. Now because we have Vizier, now actually this is kind of like one thing, it's kind of like a little side caveat, but I use Venus in my arena, right? So I have her speed at 192. Let's look at her total stats at 192. So she is the fastest person in my team composition, and she has a lot of accuracy. Now for clan boss, you really don't need 358 accuracy, especially if you have Vizier, right? You could probably cut this down to like 220 or something like that, but you do want to give her a lot of HP and some defense so she could survive longer. But like Vizier, honestly, once Venus dies, all she has to do really is just put up those debuffs, right? So once she dies and those debuffs are all applied, all 10 of them are maxed out on the clan boss's meter, there's really no point for Venus to be there anymore, just like Vizier. So honestly, she's there to just put those debuffs on, boom, 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 and that's it. That's pretty much what she's there for, right? So Venus is pretty simple when it comes to this team composition. She could be a little squishy, and you could get away with that because you have Vizier. And pretty much once Vizier and Venus is done doing their thing, all you really need is for these three to stay alive, so the boss keeps doing his attacks going through his turns, and every time he does that, he's taking poison and HP burn and things like that, right? So that's really pretty much it when it comes to my team composition. Now for Venus, you do have a few good choices that could replace her. Dracomorph would easily be the next choice next to Venus, and then you do have other choices like Juliana. So if I had to pick, you'll definitely go to Dracomorph, but Juliana is also a pretty good champion for Venus substitution, and here are some more other champions. So all of these 4 champions will be really great as a poison debuffer, but they don't have any like decrease defense or weaken like Venus and Dracomorph has. But these guys will substitute in for you for that damage portion, you know, till you're able to get better champions, right? So, yep, there they go. Alright, so this brings us to the end of the video. So we had a lot to talk about in this video. We talked about team composition, we talked about what champions could replace who, we talked about gear, we talked about the flaws and the good parts of my team composition. Pretty much there was a lot of things to talk about in this video. So, you know, if you guys stuck to the end, I appreciate it. It does take a lot of effort to make these videos, so for real, sincerely, I do appreciate it if you made it to the end of the video. And also, if you guys have any questions, then just, you know, leave them in the comment section. I always do my best to answer anybody's question whenever they ask a question, so you will not be neglected. I'll always get back to you. And yeah, with that being said, I guess that's pretty much it. Oh, we didn't cover masteries, but I figure if I did cover masteries, this video would have been twice as long. But if you guys are interested in maybe a second episode to this video, kind of just covering masteries or anything else you guys might have questions on, I might just make another video just for you. So, you know, if you want to see that, then just tell me in the comment sections, right? But yeah, with all that being said, hey, you guys enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas, it's early, and hopefully Plarium gives us a really good fusion for Christmas, right? So yeah, you guys take care, be safe, catch you on the next one.